Hey everybody, welcome to Work in Progress Wednesdays. I'm doing a little something different today, as you can tell by my luscious face. Luscious? Is that the word I want to use? Should visage, maybe? Luscious visage. I'm not, anyway, so let's get back to what I'm doing over here. So, as you can see, I've been drawing I decided I've got these big ideas for big, grandiose epics and stuff, and it's like before I dive into those, I should probably do a shorter short, if that makes any sense. So I figured make something like a minute long. That way I don't get too ambitious with it, and I learn how to actually make a production and keep it going. Because, when you make stuff, you can kind of keep adding to stuff and adding ideas, and it gets kind of crazy. So I've been trying this idea. I went back to a character I created back in like college, which is the character of Toddy in Toddy's Closet. I have no idea if that's going to be the opening graphic yet. The idea right now is to just draw as many drawings as I can to come up with sequences and shots, and then I'm going to start adding to and cutting from. So it's just, right now it's just a placeholder, and then I'm going to go by no rights because, people know my name, I know my name, but there's already 1,000 guys with my name out there, so it's like I might as well just really start signing stuff with that. So anyway, yeah, I haven't really drawn like this since college, which is I mean I draw with the red and the blue a lot because the red is really sketchy and then the blue is still kind of sketchy but refining, and then that way I can still go over it with the black. I kind of came up with this little color palette for these brushes, which just sketch. They're just the color with a little bit of opacity, so that way with the soft brush and Harmony, they come out real nice like coal erase pencils. And I used to draw like this all the time. I still do on projects. It's just, I had to go back a little bit and kind of revert back to a more scribbly and really. You'll notice as this progresses, like, this bedpost is really wonky. It's not perfectly straight, and there's reasons for that, because as this progresses, you start getting stuff like this that's really abstract. I'm still not exactly sure what angle I want this at, but I really want it to be like when you're in a dream and stuff's coming at you and coming at you. That's it's a little weird now, but when I dream and things are a little warped. In fact, I'm not sure yet. Like I haven't made any final panels or frames or anything for this animation, but I haven't decided if I want him to be want it to be really scratchy, or if I just want it to be solid, but then have, a very animated shading pattern. I mean, I've done stuff like this where I'm taking kind of influence a little bit from Bill Plimpton because he does stuff with just pencil and he goes crazy with the chiaroscuro shading and and it's fun, it's if you have to get into the zone for this kind of work. Like cross hatching is really fun if you can put music on and just get lost in it for a while. But around hour 4, you're just like, hands falling asleep, don't know what I'm doing anymore. So, also, these bedposts, like, I realized after a while, I used to draw like this when I started my old webcomic Townies, so I had these huge globe bedposts, and after a while I was like, that doesn't make sense. A globe on a stick, they're made out of like the same width as the post itself, so I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like this thing, the scene's gonna go for some weird fisheye lens angles, and I want to really do a lot of straight ahead and a lot of crazy animation with this, and just try and make it as fun to draw and animate as possible. And right now, I haven't been animating it. This is all blocking stuff out to figure out the story, and then later I'm going to take that and time it. So I'm going to take those and make an animatic out of it. I've already made the scene about a minute long, which is roughly about 1,440 frames, so 1440, and that's an exact-ish number. Like it's gonna go higher than that because I want to have stuff before, and then I want to draw some stuff out, so it might be a little bit longer than a minute and a half. I'm definitely not going to push out because I've got ideas for stuff that's gonna go much longer than a minute and a half. I've got that Bluesman character that I was rigging up. The camera's up here, and I'm looking at my monitor, so it's always kind of weird. Anyway, the Bluesman story is going to be like the first one, and that's going to be like 7.5, and I still got to really feel comfortable with making something that's one solid thing, because I had ideas for projects. Like, I kept thinking, maybe I could make it this. No, that's more like a little intro to something else, and I really want a self-contained story. And this character, you know, the little boy with his imagination runs wild, and scares the crap out of him, which is the way I like to think of it. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of, oh, little boy has a dream. That goes back to, like, you know, Little Nemo and stuff like that, and Calvin Hobbes and everything. But, you know, the character of Toddy and his nightmares, because that's really what it is. He's a lot of, I think it was Chuck Jones. He said that when you write a character, you have to find a little bit of yourself and put it in there, and that's what you identify and grip onto when you're writing it. And well, he probably didn't say that exactly, but I've read his writing, and that's the impact it had on me. So, you know, the way I see the Toddy character is he's a little bit of me. he's a little bit of that me that gets nervous and anxious and freaked out, and I want to draw him, and I want people to identify that. You've all had those weird warped dreams when you were a real little kid and you didn't know what those shadows were, and you start. I mean, I still have some of those things now and again. You know, start seeing crap, and when you're half awake, it's like, what's that thing floating in the sky? Oh, I'm in it. I'm having a dream. Okay, thanks for. Yeah, I've woken up and shown my mom stuff. Like, I think I see a thing on my wall. Okay, you're human. And I was like, when I'm fully awake, it's like, oh, thanks for humoring a half awake me. It's the twilight of the mind, you know, because it's like late at night is the twilight of the day, but the twilight of the mind when you're kind of half awake and you're like, I know there's no giant wolf creature on the wall, I know there's no Frankenstein monster, I know the shadows aren't moving, but your mind wants you to think things. And that's kind of what I want to capture with this. So it's a little bit abstracted. And I think that's okay, you know. Flash cartoons on the web and stuff can be very scratchy and fun, as long as, you know, you have some semblance of it. There goes my cat. So you see here are some really rough frames. I think it's good to get stuff out in stick figure form just to get a pose so that you can come back to it and refine, because, like, everything, you can build stuff like this, and then when you come back to it, you start adding shadow, and like, okay, here's an outline for a shade here, and there's where, you know, you can start building up, because that's a nice thing, is like, you want to get stuff out and then build up, because when you can build up later, it's like, if you're sitting there going, I don't know what I want to do, and then you can just spend 15-20 minutes cleaning up outlines or adding a thing here or there, and you go, oh, okay, I have an idea for this next frame, and then, you know, and I really like the Toddy character, because I did a mini of it a while back, and a little mini comic, and he just, you know, I think they describe him as sight gags. I don't know if I'd really say that, because his stuff kind of just flows from one thing to another. It's I want to make him really fun to draw, and really fun to animate, and I really want to make this one a fun one to watch. So, that's it for this week. You're going to see me as I work on this one, so I don't know how long this one's going to go, but I'm not going to be cutting to any other projects until I finish this one and post the final thing, which, you know, I've got other things, like I've got that little studio idea I was working on one week, and I've got I've got more Bluesman stuff to work on, but this is the one that I'm working on now. Like, I've stopped other stuff. I'll get back to the daily doodles and stuff like that later on. Right now, it's like, I really need to focus on getting a finished animation, getting it out there, and moving on to my next long, epic voyage. So, that's it, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all on the other side. To find out more, visit NoRightsProductions.com. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/NoRights. And hey, why don't you check out my Tumblr at norights.tumblr.com.